Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how arrays and loops are used together in C. So here I have written a program which takes input of 5 marks and finds the average and as well as the highest among them. So let's run this program first and see how this works. Suppose if I input the marks out of 100, let's put 89, 77, 90, 78, and 88. So the highest marks is 90 and the average marks is 84.4, which is basically it makes a sum out of them and divide them by 5. So before I explain this, I want to show you how how loops works and what are loops. So there are basically three types of loops in C. One is while loop, another is do while, and another is for. So let's go to a different screen. And so the format for loop is for and parentheses, and inside the parentheses there will be two column, and there so there are three spaces. And the first space is for initialization, which is, let me write initialization. The second one is condition, and the third one is increment or decrement. So suppose I want to make a loop with the variable I. So let me declare I, and the value of I will be starting from 0, which is the initialization, and the condition means uh, uh, when the loop will run. So I want the loop to run uh, only when the value of I is less than 5, and increment or decrement is the step with which the value of the variable increases. So let me write I plus plus, which means the value of I increases by 1. So if I print here like only the value of I, and if I run this program now, it gives me 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So first the value of I is 0, it starts with 0, and it prints 0, and after that it increases by 1, so it goes to 1, 2, 3, 4, and when the value becomes 5, it doesn't meet the condition anymore. So 5 is not less than 5, so it stops. So there are two more kind of loops, which are do while and while loop. So I'm going to do the same thing with do while and while. So let's print out the same thing with do while. So the format of do while is do curly braces and while parentheses, and here is the condition. So the for do while the condition will be here and a colon, semicolon. So let me do the same thing. So for loop has all its parameters or condition increments inside these parentheses, but do while and while loops actually doesn't have that, so you have to do that manually. So I have, for initialization, I will write I equals 0 here. So I the value of I is initially 0, and print I, but there is one thing actually missing here, which is the increment. So that I also have to do that manually. So after printing I in every step, I have to increase that manually. So I will give here I plus plus, which means the value of I increases after it prints, and in the condition I will be giving the same condition as long as I is less than 5. So while I is less than 5, it will repeat. So let's print that. Then before that, let me, to make it clear, let me give a line gap. Okay, let me do this. Okay, so it does the same thing again. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So these two loops are doing the same thing. This is the while loop, do while loop, and this is the for loop. So both of them are doing the same thing. Just I'm using for is a little compact because it has all the initialization, the condition, and increment in the same place. But for do while, I have to write them manually in different places. And while loop, there is another loop with while. Let me give a line gap first. Okay, so while loop is like this. We have to write while and a parenthesis. So inside the parenthesis there is the condition and curly braces. So inside the curly braces we'll be writing all the steps. So first of all, like do while loop, I have to make an initialization manually and then write the condition here. Before that we have to write the output, which is the value of I. So okay, so I'm printing out the value of I here, and one more thing is the increment. So it's the same thing, but the condition comes first here. So if we write the condition I is less than 5, so the initial value of I is 0, and then it checks for the condition and prints and increases the value of I after it prints every time. So if I run this now, okay, I have this open. If I run this thing now, it prints 1, 2, 3, 4, the same thing again. Take a look at this. It prints the same thing again. So these are the three types of loop. But before I move on to array, I want to tell one thing about do while and while loop. So there's a difference between do while and while loop, and the difference is while while loop actually checks the condition first and then runs this code. So but do while actually will run your code at least once, no matter what the condition is. So before we change the condition, it will run your code at least once and then check it. But for while loop, the condition may not meet for the first time, and it may not run your code even once. So these are the difference between do while and while. So basically do while may not do while will actually run your program at least once, but while loop may not even run your program once. So do while do while will check the condition after it runs the program, and while loop will be checking your condition first, and then it will run. So now if I move on to here, what I did here is uh, declared a variable I, which is basically used for the loops. As I showed you here, I have used the same variable I here. And here what I did is declared uh, declared declared an array. So that is what I'm going to show here. So an array is actually a set of values with same data types. So marks, I have declared marks with integer, so what it marks will store is only integer. So suppose what suppose if I want to take a student's mark. So what I will basically do is declare a variable with mark, like mark, and then take input like scanf and the into marks. Now what if I want to take like 100 input, 100 marks? So if I like do mark 1 and then mark 2 and then go on for mark 100, it will be like a mess. You have to input, you have to write up to mark 100 and then scan if with like 100 of variables. So that's actually not a good way to do that. So that is why there is array. So array here, like I am taking 5 marks, so I the inside this bracket I wrote 5. So what this means is mark variable or the mark array can take up to 5 inputs. So this thing is called index, and this index means how many values it can take. So usually these input into arrays are used uh, input into arrays are taken with loops. So that is where the role of loops comes. So what I did here first is print student marks and scan them separately. So first the value of I is 0. So if for the value of I is 0, and what I printed out is student percentage d, which is I plus 1. I gave read I plus 1 because I want to write student 1 marks, student 2 marks, so it should not be student 0 marks, just to make it look good. So if I so after that I wrote scanf. So here is where I am taking input into the loop. So marks I. So what does marks I mean? Marks I mean here. So if it's marks I and percentage D, so it's like marks 0. So mark 0 is, so I'm taking input into mark 0. So if you make a graphical representation of loop, it will be like 5 boxes here, and each box will have save a mark inside them. So if you suppose if I input 89, then 77, 94, 85, and 91. So the box that you are this picture you are I'm showing here, it actually looks like this. So each box will have the number inside it with position 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how they're inputted. And then what I did here is to find the maximum mark. So for maximum mark, I inputted the first value of the array to max, and then compared each of the value inside the array, and whenever one of them is greater than max, it is assigned to max. That value is assigned to max. So it is a common way of finding maximum values. And here I have found out the sum, which because I need the sum for finding the average. So what I did here is put them inside a loop and found out the sum. So you need to make sure the initial value of sum is 0, because I am adding marks to sum. So it will be like 0 plus 89. So if you don't initialize sum, it will be like a garbage value there. So you will not get the value you want. So after that, what I did is find the average. And one thing I did here is multiply 1.0 with sum. So why did I do that? So because the value data type of average is float, but data type of sum is integer. Okay, so they actually don't match. The data type should match. If I in a calculation, the data type should match. So to to do that, what I did is multiplied sum with a float data type, which is 1.0. 1.0 is a float. So whenever I multiply sum with 1.0, sum this whole value becomes a float. So now average, the value of average will be the one you wanted. So after that, what I did is basically print out the highest mark and the average mark. And here I want the output in two decimal place. So what I did is write 0.2 in between and percent and in between percent and if. So what the output looks like is, let me input the same value: 89, 77, 94, 85, 91. So the highest marks is 94 and the average marks is 87.20. So that's basically it. If you don't understand this tutorial, uh, replay it again and again, try to understand, because these arrays and loops are very important of C programming. So that's it for now. Happy coding.